the very first episode of the Sacred Vow podcast. This is the beautiful
Amy Lee Mutton.
and my name is David A. Charles, and we're super excited to have you here and to go on this journey. It's been something that's been brewing for us for quite a while, and it's really just been created and sparked from people in our space, in our environment, asking us to share our perspectives and portions of our relationship with them. So we're super excited to begin this journey.
Yeah, so Dave and I have been in a relationship for nearly 3 years now, and we have had quite the journey inside of that. And yeah, as Dave mentioned, there are a lot of people in our communities that have been somewhat aware of some of the pieces that we've journeyed and navigated, and that have invited us a few times to share content and to create some content around what we have journeyed and how we have ended up where we are. And part of the reason why this podcast is called The Sacred Vow is we are getting married later this year. And for those that know us well, know that this wedding was supposed to happen a long time ago. And due to some of the challenges that we were facing, it was in the highest integrity for us to not be married at that time. And yeah, those people have watched us go through this really big transformative time to now be walking towards our wedding in such a deep union, one that I honestly didn't even know existed. Like, it's beyond what women would describe as a fairy tale, because it's real. And yeah, that's one of the things that I've learned that I'm sure we'll dive into at some point. So
and I think that's really important, is that just to note that in a lot of ways our relationship has been the crumbling of the fairy tale. and like I say that
hasn't it what?
And I say that kind of like tongue in cheek, but also like the realness of it has been a crumbling.
It has been a crumbling, and yet it is the most romantic, love-filled, cherishing, desire-filled experience that I could ever possibly imagine. But shit, it is not the stuff that Disney is made of. And so we've unpacked so many false illusions of what we are typically sold a story of what relationships are and could be and should be, and what that means. And yeah, I'm feeling, I think we're feeling really excited to finally be sharing this with everyone, and even that has been a journey as well to get to this point of clicking record today. Yeah,
because it's so important for both of us around being very landed and grounded in the things that we speak about. And I know for myself and just through the conversations that Amy and I have, that we often, like when we're journeying something, we're often very quiet about it in the larger world, and we love having time to sit and allow the richness and the perspectives to ripen and mature before we share about it. And it's really perfect timing. It's really perfect timing.
And our intention as well is to be really vulnerable with you and to be really open and honest. I mean, for anybody that's here already that knows me, you know that that's how I am all the time anyway. And I do really lead my life and live my life through a very open heart. And so our intention is to be quite an open book. And I think that's really powerful. This isn't staged, this isn't scripted, this isn't, heavily post-produced or anything like that. This is just Dave and I sharing our hearts and sharing our truth and sharing our journey. And our invitation to you as well is to invite us to answer things that you might be curious about. Prompt us, let us know, if there's particular aspects that you want to hear more about or questions that you have for us. We would love for this to be super interactive. We're both manifesting generators, for anyone out there that is a human design buff, and so we love to be put in response. So Yeah, let's tell
Absolutely.
people a bit about ourselves.
And you were just mentioning about being that you share quite a lot and you're quite vulnerable, even just in your postings. But for myself, I haven't really ever spoken publicly about our relationship.
People don't even know I exist. That's a joke.
Apart from...
That's a joke.
But, I mean, you can see on my... we're Facebook official. We've been
We are
Facebook official for a long
official.
time. But
Yeah.
I don't speak about relationships in the past because, like, a large part of it for me has actually been that relationships have been a deep challenge for me. And it hasn't been something, and I'm not in any way saying that we have everything sorted out, but it has been something that I found deeply challenging and I haven't felt really landed in. And actually for a long time I didn't believe it was something that I had. My perspective wasn't something that was value of other people, but it's really like the deep internal self-reflection that I've gone on and just sharing it with other people that there is value to what I have to share around relationships specifically. So I'm excited to give like a sharing of my own perspectives around relationships as well. And
it's new for you.
it is.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. And I'm super grateful that I've taken the time to be slow with that as well.
This isn't something that we've just conjured up overnight and been like, oh, it's a good idea, let's throw it out into the world. We've really been with this and let that fruit ripen over a long period of time. And the deep embodiment of what we're speaking about is very important to us. And we'll always be transparent and truthful with you if it's something that we're really still walking, because I do think that there is medicine both in sharing something at the end of the journey, that's like most of the time, and then also if there's something we're traversing in our relationship, we're going to be really open with you about that and not try and speak about it like we know the answer.
And we have complete certainty.
Oh, we're like we're in the mud a little bit with this,
Yeah.
and we're wandering our way through it, and that's how both of us lead in our relationship with each other, actually, and with our clients and inside of our communities. So
Absolutely. And just to speak clearly about who this is for.
Oh, good one.
As well. So it's called the Sacred Vow.
Yeah.
Because you cute.
Oh, so cute.
It's called the Sacred Vow because we believe deeply in committed, long-term, monogamous relationships. And I know for myself, I believe heavily in the healing that is possible in that type of relationship where there's a sacred vow. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's marriage per se, although very excited for that. But that there's long-term committed relationships because there's such deep healing and intimacy that's possible inside of that. Like the level of knowing of another person, I don't believe can happen outside of that type of container. So by no means saying like this way is right or better than any other. It's just what is right for us and what we can speak about and share about from our own experiences and perspectives.
Yeah, and I think us being really clear on that in the beginning is more of a pre-frame of who we're speaking to than to create conflict. Like we have no interest in creating conflict with people that value a different way of relating. It's like spirituality and religion and all of these different paths to God. Like anyone that proclaims this is the way, I will instantly turn off to them because that's not, something I subscribe to. And this feels similar for me, where we're going to speak about the way that we choose to relate and the way that we have deeply healed and the way that, I would say for the majority of the part, all of the people that we know, like we're like, this is a really powerful path to healing our ways of relating, and it deeply feeds into all of our ways of being in the world. It's not just about the intimacy with your direct partner. This is about your way of being as a human, as a person, and the way that you relate to an array of other things as well.
Yeah, totally. And specifically, the type of relationship that we're going to be talking about is what could be seen as a more traditional type of relational dynamic between man and woman. Myself being in the more masculine male role, and Amy in the more feminine or female traditional role.
Yeah.
Without also just framing, without dogma or like there's so much that we can cover. There's like a whole rabbit hole there. But
yeah, like you'll hear us talk about polarity teachings, and it's definitely something that we draw on to an extent. But another framework that we also really work with is codependence, independence, interdependence, and something that we've identified is we see a lot of really great content, particularly in the masculine, feminine, heavily frameworked offerings that are put out there that really help people embody independence and independence inside of the union. But there's this place after that called interdependence, and I personally don't see a lot of content that's really walking people through that stage from independence to interdependence.
Yes.
And I think that that's really what we have been journeying with. When we came into this relationship, we were both pretty good at independence in a relationship.
Yes.
And we've been through this evolution into, well, what is it actually like to go into interdependence? And what I find is beautiful in walking someone through that journey is the risk of going from independence to interdependence is falling back to codependence, right? And yeah, I think we've really explored that a lot, and that's been what a significant portion of our journey has been in. And there's been times where we've like dipped our toes into codependence as well, and then don't want that, you go back to independence, and then so there's many things that we're going to weave into this space.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'd love for us to do an introduction of ourselves.
Yeah. Do you want to go first?
I would love for you to go first.
Okay. So I am Amy Lee Mutton, soon to be Amy Lee Charles, and what's relevant for this introduction? I suppose in terms of, obviously we're going to be speaking about relating. So I spent 14 years working in the construction industry, and it's obviously quite a male dominated industry, and I was a very masculinized woman, female, and I would say that I've always had a good relationship with men. Like I've always really liked men and had like good male friends. Probably my earlier years had more challenges with women, but also really emasculated men a lot, and we're going to talk, I'd say, a fair bit about that. That's going to be a lot about our content, because that's been something that I have really healed in this relationship. It was something that I was not even aware that I was doing. Anyway, so 14 odd years in the construction industry, and I then find myself on an extended trip overseas, and I finally had created enough space in my life for spirituality to come knocking on my door and to start calling me home. And before this time I probably would have almost been able to describe myself as atheist, and when I tell people that now, people that know me now, they're like, what? So my current work that I do is as a spiritual mentor. So for the last 5 or so years I have dived very, very deeply into many aspects of spirituality, and I have been on a very significant healing journey of, to put it very simply, remembering the truth of who I am and remembering the love that I am and that God is. And yeah, I'm feeling like I don't want to go too deeply into these parts because there's so much that we're going to speak to in different episodes. But basically I went from being, let's say, borderline atheist and confused, and having highly challenging relationships with men that were ultimately incredibly codependent, flip-flopping between anxiously attached and avoidantly attached. And when I was a young girl, I had this dream and vision of being married with 2 children by the time I was 23, and then found myself tipping over 30 in a relationship that I absolutely detested, and so lost and disconnected from myself. And the last 6 years now, I'm 36 now, the last 6 years have brought me home and deeper to myself than I honestly ever thought possible. Like, I did not know that the way that I live now, I didn't even know that this was possible. And when I share with people that and how seemingly quickly that has occurred, not only does it shock people, but I see the hope and the inspiration that it brings to them, because the truth is that the highest version of you, like the highest, most connected, the version of you that completely and absolutely remembers yourself as God, like as the highest frequency, it's already inside of you right now, and it can happen really, really quickly. And that's also the work that I do now, is supporting women to come into that deep connection with themselves. Yeah. How's that for an intro?
I mean, it's a start.
Is that just me introing one of my personalities? Is that?
Oh, I don't know about that. Yeah.
Okay,
you're certainly a beautiful, multifaceted woman, I love.
Thank you, Tal.
So, for myself, I've had quite a vast array on a professional front, a vast array of different pursuits and different careers, from being a qualified electrician through to, always coaching and teaching in some form, as well as trading the Forex and the financial markets. So what I feel like that brings as well is a deep perspective across just many different pathways, many different ways of being. There's a vast array of different people that I've met and interacted with, and relationships that I've been in, personally, intimately, professionally. So on the coaching front, it's been something that I've always been deeply passionate about. I was kind of first put into coaching and teaching roles about 20 years ago, and since then I've done all different types of coaching and training, from outdoor education stuff to more personal development, to professional development, or mindset coaching within trading, and a background and training across coaching modalities such as hypnosis, kinesiology, large amount around embodiment. Really there isn't too much that I haven't done in the coaching space. And something that I'm very proud of, and something that I'm very passionate and almost obsessed about, is just learning and really getting to the core of something and exploring something very deeply. And I'm excited to share my contemplations around relationships. You mentioned your experiences in terms of attachment styles. I've had similar as well, where I've moved in different relationships between avoidant and also anxious, and reflecting on my relationships, it's like I've been trying to find the middle ground. I've been trying to find a way that feels deeply connected, and really ultimately create the way of being that's going to create the type of relationship that I wanted and that I desired. And it's been a long time. It's been a long time in the making to create the relationship that we have. And we're just getting started too.
We're just getting started.
So very excited to explore heaps of different conversations with you. Again, we're super excited to have a collaborative discussion where we're being asked questions and then we respond to those. And we've got a series of different podcasts that we're excited to share.
Our next one that we're going to record is our story, how we met and how we came to be, and how we came to be where we are in this moment. And that's going to be fun. Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
So thank you for tuning in for the first podcast.
Yeah, we're super, super looking forward to being of service to you, really. Before we hit record today, we just dropped in with each other and we're just like, why are we doing this? Why ultimately are we doing this? And it is only about being in service. It is only about sharing. This isn't some like fluff piece where we need to or desire to generate, a heap of traffic. This is genuinely because as we were going through some of our hardest times, like we knew that it was for more than just us. And also it never had to be. It didn't have to be. Because there were also times when I know for myself, I was like, oh my God, I would never want to tell anyone this. Like when I was really in it, your first and foremost was for us to get through what we were in. But we really want to make it an offering. And, we know from the individual conversations we've had with people, I share a lot with my one-on-one clients very openly about the pieces of our relationships and our relationship. And I've seen the dramatic impact that has had for them. So we want to serve you, and we invite you to pull out of us as much information as you want. Like, let us serve you by receiving this invitation. And yeah, I'm super excited to see what arrives to us to respond to. Yeah.
As am I.
Yeah, it's nice. All right. Thanks, guys. We will see you soon.